Welcome to Hoop Talk Fanatics, episode number 18. I am here with Milwaukee Bucks reporter Scott Grodsky, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say about the upcoming first-round playoff series against the Chicago Bulls. So, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. What are your thoughts on the regular season overall?
I think the Bucks had about the season you'd want them to have as the defending champs. They had some times at the start of the year where people were a little worried they weren't playing great, but it was also because they were the defending champs and they didn't need to play great. They didn't need to play Middleton, Drew, and Giannis all together. And so throughout the entire season, when all three of them played, the team was very good, but the record wasn't what some fans wanted right away, but there was a very clear reason for that. They also had Drew and Chris Middleton were coming off of not only the finals, but playing in the Olympics as well. So I think the team got a decent amount of rest. I think that the team learned how important Brook Lopez is too, by not having him for as long as they did. That managed to, one, boost Brook, but also boost Bobby Portis into a lot more confidence when he is called on as well. So I think going into the playoffs, they're pretty much exactly where you'd want to be if you're them. They're also about as healthy as they can be right now. And obviously that can change in an instant. But I think if you're Mike Budenholzer, John Horst, or any of the Bucks fans, you've got to be happy about where they're
at. Do you think the Bulls have a solid shot to upset Milwaukee fans and advance, or do you think Milwaukee is too tough?
No, I don't think they can win a series. I think they could win a game, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that'll depend on, if the Bucks are up 3-0 and take their foot off the gas, then sure, Chicago can win one. But it's the Bucks have won all 4 games against them this year. They've won, I think it's 14 of the last 15 games against Chicago, and the only one they lost, Middleton and Giannis didn't play. Chicago was a good story for a while. Honestly, they're still a good story if you look at it in the grand scheme of the season and not in the microscope of where they are now. But I think, in the first half of the season, it was all about how Chicago's record is so good. And by the second half, you started to realize, okay, their record's good because they've beaten all these teams that aren't in the playoffs and aren't contenders. And against the teams that are contenders, they struggle. I think DeMar DeRozan was a much better fit in Chicago than I ever imagined he would be. I back when it was, are the Lakers going to get DeRozan or Westbrook? I didn't really think either of them fit well with the Lakers, but I assumed Westbrook was the better player. I don't know that I believe that anymore. I don't know that really anyone believes that anymore. DeRozan had a great season. Vucevic is someone who in the past has given the Bucks a little bit of trouble in the playoffs when he was with the Magic and they stole one game from Milwaukee. Zach LaVine's a really good up-and-coming player. The Bulls have a good team and the Bulls have a good future, but the Bucks are a championship contending team. The Bulls are not.
How many games do you think it'll take Milwaukee to win the series?
I think it'll be 5. I think it could be 4. 6 would surprise me. 7 would shock me. I think it'll be 5 games. I think they'll probably lose one of the 2 games in Chicago in the 3-4 split.
Do you see Milwaukee getting to the finals?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could. I think that this is about as good and about as well-rounded as the East has been in a long time, especially at the top. I think that any of the top 4 seeds in Brooklyn, so the top 4 seeds and the 7, all have a chance. I think that while I don't think the Bucks were scared of Brooklyn, I don't think they're scared of really anyone. I just don't think that's how the athlete mind works. But whatever it was, them avoiding the 2 seed and not having to play in a tough series right away is going to benefit them, especially when they then play the winner of the Boston-Brooklyn series. I guess if I had to pick one team out of the East, I would pick the Bucks. I think they are as good as anyone, and I think they have as good of a path as anyone. But you could make a realistic argument for Miami, Philly, Boston, Brooklyn, or Milwaukee. The Hawks Cavs winner is obviously not going to do anything. The Bulls aren't going to do anything. And Toronto, I don't really trust Philly. Philly could make the finals. Philly could lose to Toronto, but whatever it is, Toronto's not making it out of the second round if they even do upset Philly.
What are your thoughts on the rest of the bracket in the Eastern Conference?
The rest of the way in the East, I think that I think the 2-7 series, the Boston Brooklyn series, is the most interesting series of the entire playoffs, at least first round, whether it's the West or the East. I think that's going to be a very fun series to watch. It's a very interesting series to watch. There's a bunch of storylines in it too, including but not limited to whether or not Ben Simmons comes back for, I think he's targeting game 4 through 6, I think I saw, but I think that's the most interesting one by far. I think a sneaky interesting one is Toronto and Philly, and I do expect Philly to win, but I don't trust them. I think that Toronto is better than people give them credit for, and Philly, between Harden and Embiid, have a couple of guys who it's not fair to say that they don't show up in the playoffs because they both have had their moments, and Embiid has frankly had injuries. But it's not like they have a reputation of being playoff closers at this point in their careers. So I think that's an interesting one. I think Miami is probably going to win in 5, maybe 4 over whoever they play. The Hawks were a great story last year, and if I had to guess, I think the Hawks probably beat the Cavs too, but the Hawks are not. They're not on that level. So I think that really the only series that's super interesting in the first round is Boston, Brooklyn, followed by Philly, Toronto, and then the other two are, you know, let me know if they get to a game 6 and I'll pay closer attention, but I'm not expecting much.
It should be very interesting to watch in the next couple of days. And thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Alex.
Thanks.